Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, the Israeli Mossad agency pledges not to allow the Islamic Republic of Iran to ever attain a nuclear weapon. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard's Quds Force commander, Brigadier General Esmail Qa'ani, threatens the United States over its presence throughout the Middle East, claiming the time has come for Shiite Islam to rule the region. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken confirms that doubt remains over whether Tehran is genuinely engaging at the nuclear talks in Vienna in good faith. The Israeli Mossad for Intelligence and Special Operations Agency pledges not to allow the Islamic Republic of Iran to ever attain a nuclear weapon. Israeli President Yitzhak Herzog, accompanied by Prime Minister Naftali Bennett and Mossad Director David Barnea, hosted a special candle-lighting ceremony for the Jewish festival of Hanukkah, during which special commendations were granted to Mossad agents who excelled during the year 2021. The ceremony started with a candle-lighting ritual commemorating the cruse of oil miracle that occurred when the ancient Maccabees rededicated the Second Biblical Temple after reconquering the city of Jerusalem from the Hellenic army of King Antiochus IV in 2nd century BC. Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett seized the opportunity to draw a clear analogy between the Maccabees, who primarily employed guerrilla tactics, to the cunning actions perpetrated by the operational arm of the Mossad, in line with its motto, derived from the biblical book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 14, which translates literally from Hebrew, "With no cunning, a nation shall fall, but in an abundance of counselors there is salvation."
הקו והחוט שמחבר בין המכבים לביניכם הוא קו ישיר וברור. אז כמו היום הייתה לנו תעוזה. אז כמו היום, לא רחוק מפה בסדרה של קרבות בדרך לירושלים, הייתה לנו תחבולה. ואז כמו היום הייתה לנו מחויבות עמוקה לקיום מדינה ריבונית בארץ ישראל.
The Israeli Prime Minister went on to voice his confidence and that of his government in the Mossad's ability to accomplish crucial tasks ahead.
אני רוצה לומר בשם ממשלת ישראל, בשמי, אני סומך עליכם לגמרי במשימות הגדולות שעומדות בפניכם. אני יודע שאתם תעמדו בהם.
Mossad Director David Barnea, for his part, utilized his rare public appearance to voice his objection to the revival of the 2015 nuclear agreement with the Islamic Republic of Iran, asserting that a country that enriches uranium at 60% purity by means of thousands of active centrifuges does not do so for civilian purposes. With that being said, Barnea pledged his commitment and that of the Mossad to never allow the Ayatollah regime in Tehran to attain nuclear weapon capabilities.
הסכם גרוע, שאני מקווה שלא יגיעו אליו, הינו בלתי נסבל מבחינתנו. הרי זה ברור שאין צורך באורניום מועשר ל-60% למטרות אזרחיות. אין צורך בשלושה אתרים להעשרה, ואין צורך באלפי צנטרפוגות פעילות, אלא אם כן קיימת כוונה לפתח נשק גרעיני. לאיראן לא יהיה נשק גרעיני. לא בשנים הקרובות, לעולם לא. זו התחייבותי, זו התחייבות המוסד.
Barnea further spoke of Iran's quest for regional hegemony, proclaiming the Mossad's commitment in cooperation with all of Israel's defense establishment to keep at bay the threats posed to the state of Israel and to foil them by all means necessary.
איראן חותרת להגמוניה אזורית, מתנהלת בטרור, אותו אנו בולמים יום-יום ברחבי העולם, ומאיימת באופן מתמשך על יציבות המזרח התיכון. לכן, איננו פקוחות אנו דרוכים ונעשה יחד עם עמיתינו במערכת הביטחון את כל שנדרש כדי להרחיק את האיום ממדינת ישראל ולסכלו בכל דרך.
Meanwhile, in Iran, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard's Quds Force commander, Brigadier General Esmail Qa'ani, leveled a threat toward the United States, asserting, quote, "We are telling the Americans, you have still time to leave the region in humiliation, or you will be expelled in a manner worse than Afghanistan." Speaking in the city of Shiraz at a memorial ceremony for RGC-controlled forces and militias that were killed in regional proxy wars, General Qa'ani further proclaimed that any slightest move by the United States, its teeth will be crushed in its mouth. The Quds Force commander, whose predecessor, Major General Qasem Soleimani, was assassinated in a U.S. drone strike, went on to claim that the goal of the RGC to expel the United States from the region was partially achieved, and pledged further to continue the fight until the RGC's ultimate goal is achieved, quote, "to destroy the United States from existence." With regard to the Ayatollah regime's intentions for the broader region, General Qa'ani further announced that current conditions in the Islamic world are right for the spread of Shiite rule. It is important to mention that the remarks by General Qa'ani were made after U.S. Assistant Secretary of Defense for Strategy, Plans and Capabilities, Dr. Merrick Garland, laid out a brief overview of the Pentagon's Global Posture Review after it had been recently completed. And while Washington intends to make continuous changes to its Middle East posture, it will maintain a relatively significant force in the region to combat the Islamic State, among others.
Turning to the Middle East, the Global Posture Review assessed our evolving counterterrorism requirements following the end of DoD operations in Afghanistan and our approach toward Iran. In Iraq and Syria, the Global Posture Review directs that DoD posture will continue to support the Defeat ISIS campaign and building the capacity of our partner forces. We have global responsibilities and must ensure the readiness and modernization of our forces. These considerations require us to make continuous changes to our Middle East posture, but we always have the capability to rapidly deploy forces to the region based on the threat environment.
During that same briefing with Dr. Garland, Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby responded to a question on whether the United States was preparing for other options vis-à-vis the Islamic Republic of Iran in the event that nuclear negotiations fail.
Our job is to provide options, of course, and as Dr. Garland briefed a while ago, we have a very robust presence in the region as it is. Tens of thousands of troops all over the region, as well as a very significant maritime presence in the Persian Gulf. That all will continue. So our job here is to make sure that there are options available to the Commander-in-Chief if he needs them.
Despite preparatory work being conducted by the United States Defense Department, Press Secretary Kirby reiterated that the Pentagon continues to maintain that diplomacy remains the best path forward.
We continue to very much support the efforts of our State Department colleagues in trying to get a return to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the deal that was struck under the Obama administration with Iran. And as you know, those discussions are ongoing right now, and we're very much in support of that. We believe that diplomacy is the best path forward here. And as the Secretary has said many times, no problem in the Middle East gets easier to solve with a nuclear-armed Iran. So obviously it's in our interest and the interest of our allies and partners that outcome doesn't happen.
Despite hopes for a diplomatic solution, recent actions undertaken by Iran alongside its approach toward the talks in Vienna have seemingly fueled pessimism over prospects of diplomatic breakthrough by the United States and its European allies, including France, Britain, and Germany. Actions undertaken by Iran to accelerate its nuclear-related enrichment in recent days, a fact reported by the International Atomic Energy Agency, alongside refusal to discuss the American premise of compliance for compliance, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken confirmed that doubts remain over whether Tehran is genuinely engaged in good faith.
I think in the very near future, the next day or so, we'll be in a position to judge whether Iran actually intends now to engage in good faith. I have to tell you, recent moves, recent rhetoric don't give us a lot of cause for optimism. But even though the hour is getting very late, it is not too late for Iran to reverse course and engage meaningfully in an effort to return to mutual compliance with the JCPOA. What Iran can't do is sustain the status quo of building their nuclear program while dragging their feet on talks. That will not happen.
It is important to know that the seventh round of nuclear negotiations have come to an end today, and according to a statement by the coordinator of the talks, negotiations are expected to resume mid-next week. Thank you for watching us. As part of TV7 Israel's prayer initiative, I would like to encourage you today to join the team and me here in Jerusalem to lift up Micronesia in prayer for its salvation and peace, alongside prayers for our persecuted brothers and sisters worldwide, in addition to our ongoing prayers for the peace of Jerusalem and the salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you a Chag Chanukah Sameach v'Shabbat Shalom, and we will see you again on December 7th for TV7 Israel News at the same time.